All right. This is a 2004 Form B, question number 3. And again, it's been modified for the quiz, but it is essentially the same question with just different wording. So large trucks carry silver ore from a mine in Silverton to a process plant in Durango, and specifically designed trailers. Equipment is used to load the silver ore into the trailers. When functioning properly, the actual weights of the silver ore loaded into each trailer by the filling equipment are approximately normally distributed, and that is a huge key word. All right, if you see normal, it's like, okay, I probably can use the table. I can probably gonna have to draw a z-score, do a z-score at some point. There's a lot of things that should be going through your head with a mean of 70 tons and a standard deviation of 0.9. And as soon as I hear that, is like, okay, I'm gonna just draw a picture. All right, so here's my mean of 70. And I have a standard deviation of 0.9. If the mean is greater than 70 tons, the equipment is overfilling. If the filling equipment is functioning properly, what is the probability that the weight of the silver ore in a randomly selected trailer will be 70.7 tons or more? So this tells me right here that I'm looking at 70.7, and I'm looking for this area right here, this upper area. My z-score associated with this is 0, okay? So I always draw that picture to figure out what I'm looking for. And I'm gonna go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Oh, I should write one other thing first before I do that. I'm looking for the probability that I would get an X value greater than 70.7. At this point, we're not requiring you to write your probability with that statement, but that's what we're looking for. All right, that's what we're looking for at this point. All right, so let X be the weight of a loaded trailer. There it is. Z equals X minus mu over sigma. We know my mean was 70. My X value is 0.9. And when I divide that out, I get 0.788. All right, and this should not say tons here. And so I'm looking for the probability of randomly selected trailer is 0.2177. You're like, well, Mr. Spencer, where did you get that? Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure exactly how I got that. I got it off the table, I know that, but we're looking at a z-score of 0.78. And so this is I come across at 0.78. Seven, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Here's 0.78 as my z-score. And and so this gives me a probability of 0.78213. But I have a problem here. Let's go back to my picture. 0.7823. The z-score table is working left to right. All right, so it calculated this area right here as 0.7823. That's what it calculated. I need this area up here. Well, remember the area underneath the probability curve or any probability curve is 1, so I need to subtract from 1. And 1 minus 0.7823 gives me the 0.2177. All right, so sliding that down, so hopefully we can see all of it together, is when I looked it up on the table, I looked up that z-score. I looked up the z-score of 0.78. It gave me 0.7823, but the table works left to right, so that's that area, and I needed this upper tail, so I subtracted from 1. And that gave me the 0.2177. All right, I'm going to leave that there for just a moment.
Mr. Spencer.
Hold on just a second, please.
Right.
Oh, I say hold on.
PDF. That's where you can find the official rubric. But like Mr. Spencer says, we only did part A, so it has a lot more than what you need. The big takeaway here is that you have to have an answer that is reasonable. So you're showing your work, and showing your work is probably showing your z-score formula and maybe the probability equation. Even if you write all of that correctly and you get a number that is bigger than 0.5, they would not give you credit for this problem. So it's important that when you look at your final answer, does it make sense? And how will you know if it makes sense? Like Mr. Spencer says, you need to draw a picture, shade the region of the curve that you're looking for. You can tell by looking at that shaded region that it is less than 0.5. So if you got an answer in the end through looking at the table wrong or typing something into the calculator wrong, but you wrote everything correctly, they still would not give you credit for that because your final answer is not reasonable. So again, make sure that you're writing your work. Your work is the z-score formula and maybe the probability equation. And your final answer has to be in that range of between 0 and 0.5. Any questions about